and welcome to the Fat Sam podcast. Today we are joined by a inspirational woman, a ex-army, and now a truck driver, the legend that is Nicolle Lennox. Say hello, Nicolle.
Hi guys.
Boom, boom, we're in. So, what I like to do on these podcasts is find out about you, what you're all about. You know, you're obviously someone who's, sort of pushes back against the norm. Like you've been in the army as a female in the army. That's not normal. It's getting more normal. And truck drivers, if someone said to me, what does a truck driver look like? It would not be you. That's fair, isn't it?
I'll take that.
Yeah. So tell me, let's go back to the beginning. Where are you from? What's it all about?
So I'm originally from the northeast, a lovely place called Sunderland.
I don't know. Anywhere past the M25 north, it is the north for me. So.
Oh, well, anyone who knows Sunderland probably understands why I moved away from there at an early age.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I lived in Washington for most of my life, and then Sunderland, and then from the age of 16, I joined the army, and I've never lived up there since. I now live in Stamford.
Wait a minute. So let's unpack that a little bit. So you just joined the army like that?
Yeah, I think 15 and 9 months you were allowed to sign up. So I was still in school. Like, this is even before my exams started. So from 12, I started cadets, trying to keep me off the streets, away from the trouble. And yeah, as soon as I turned 15 and 9 months, I knew I could sign up for the army, but I'd have to take, obviously my mum would have to do the whole parental thing. Took a bit of persuasion, but yeah, as soon as I turned 15 and 9 months, I signed up.
But why?
It was something I'd always wanted to do since joining cadets, from being 12. Yeah.
So what regiment did you join?
So I joined the Royal Logistics, and I think my first regiment was 9 Regiment, which Winchester, I think that was. And then the last regiment I went to was 7 Regiment in Cottesmore.
And so what was your experience in the army? Like, wholly positive? Where did you go? What did you get up to?
So I was in for 7 years, never promoted, because I've just got one of those faces like nobody likes.
I don't know if that's true.
Well, I don't know where I went wrong, to be honest. But no, I was more of a what you call a tracksuit soldier. So I was part of all the army sports. So you spent most of my time. I was literally part of the rugby team, the boxing team, the athletics team, basketball, netball, you name it, I was on it.
So are you a tomboy at heart?
When I was a kid, I was definitely a tomboy. I've seen now, I'm not a girly girl, but I'm not as much of a tomboy. I'm just, I like to make an effort, but I'm not one of these that spends most of your life, dolling yourself up. I'm not that.
So did you ever get like deployed overseas or anything like that?
Yeah, so I done a tour in Afghanistan in 2012 to 2013.
What was that like?
See, there's stories that happened there, but if I put them aside, it was good. Given the chance, I'd go back. There was just a couple of one individual that spoiled the experience, but yeah, other than that, I really did enjoy it.
What's it like? So I suppose the glaring question is, what's it like being the cards on the table, being an attractive female in a deployed overseas with a load of dudes in the middle of a desert?
Do you know what? You don't you just feel part of a family to everyone out there, because everyone's out there and we've only got each other out there, so we treat everyone as family. So you don't really get a lot of, I mean, there's the odd couple of men that, you know, try and do what they do, but other than that, it's just like one big family out there.
So that's awesome. So did you ever go on any missions and stuff?
What do you mean, like outside of Camp Bastion?
Yeah, like did you go, like did you see any action?
No, well, because I was always based inside Camp Bastion, we never went outside. Or the most action we got was either on guard on the prison inside Camp Bastion, or doing the tower duties on the outskirts, looking out.
Yeah.
So you get to see like what the villages and stuff are up to, like outside of Camp Bastion, and you get to see.
It was exciting though, was it?
It was like you see, like there was riots that kicked off inside the prison, and then you'd get, it would go mad. The alarms would go off. There'd be like helicopters hovering above the prison. There was loads of action, but then I did see a lot of not very nice things because I worked next door to the Rule 3 hospital.
Yeah.
So my job out there was, I worked in the medical stores. So it was our responsibility to say if someone came in and they were literally minutes from death and they needed blood or plasma, it was down to us. They'd come running in, come to me and say, we need, obviously you've got so many different types of blood and plasma, and they'd say, we need this now. So it'd be up to us to go and get that. And you'd sort of feel like if anyone died, it was kind of on us.
Wow.
So it was tough, but I enjoyed it in a strange way. Yeah.
It's probably one of them experiences you wouldn't change for the world, but you know, there's certain things that stay with you forever.
Yeah, definitely.
So what was the highlight of being in the army?
I'd say, looking back, the best part about being in the army is the social life. That is it. Nothing to do with army, but it was brilliant crack in the army.
Yeah.
Best times of your life.
So you was in the army for 7 years, you say. So what prompted your exit from the army?
So I think very early stages of the army, I'd done my back in doing a stretcher run, and it never went right after that. And obviously I'd carried on for the whole 7 years doing all the different training and stuff, and it just gradually got worse and worse. But then also, like, that's not even why that's not why I left. But I had a little boy when I was pregnant when I was 19, and I had him when I was 20. I was still in the army. And then not long after him, I was getting really pressurized by certain individuals, like bosses of mine. They wanted to send me to Kenya for 9 months when my little boy was only about 8 months old.
Right.
In fact, I think he might have been 6 months old, but obviously I was just brand new back to work from maternity. I wasn't ready to leave him for 9 months because my little boy's dad, he was army as well. And obviously living away from my family who are at work anyway, like I couldn't have childcare for 9 months. So I got pressurized. I'd say like bullied by certain bosses and threatened to stop my pay if I didn't find the childcare and all this sort of stuff. And it went on for months, and I ended up getting really ill. Ended up with like really bad mental health issues. And in the end, like, it's a really long story, but in the end I got medically discharged because I was just that ill in the head.
What was so important about you going out to Africa?
Do you know what? They didn't need me to go. It was just certain bosses, female bosses who don't have children, who don't understand what it's like. It was just certain individuals just pushing and making me feel worthless. But yeah, they didn't need me to go out.
Do you feel like they was punishing you because you've had a kid and they're like, listen, you should put your career, like, you're in the army,
Well,
you shouldn't be doing that?
That's what they say in the army, that your career always comes first and family comes second. Whereas once you've had children in the army,
No.
it's not going to happen. It's not.
Especially for a mum. Like, honestly, even for me, like, I stayed away last week working. Stayed away at my brother's house, which is only like an hour and a half away. Because I moved down to the coast, so I went back up to my brother's house and went into London to work for a week. And man, I was missing my 2-year-old, little Harper, like mad. I was like, I can't do this. So I could only imagine, like, you can love your daughter so much, but you're never going to love your child like the mum loves the child. It's a different thing. So I couldn't imagine what that would be like to have to, and all that pressure. And I think it's very hard for people. It's very hard to be parted from your kids for any length of time, especially when you're going to be so far away in an environment where you probably don't want to be for a start. Sounds rough. So you come out of the army. I'll guarantee you got your truck driver's license in the army.
Yeah.
Yeah, best training about, though, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
So what other skills did you come out with from the army?
Nothing really. I think because I joined at such a young age, obviously I didn't go to college or anything like that. I was literally out of school into the army. And I think pretty much all your career in the army is just, they'll make sure you've got your maths and English and all that sort of rubbish. But then other than the things that you do within the army, such as your driving license, your shooting and stuff like that, which isn't going to be any helpful when you come out the army. Yeah, it was just all about sleeping in fields and yeah, just getting muddy and shouted at.
Is it like cadets, or is it a lot more? Is it a lot?
No, cadets is fun and laid back and not as strict.
I don't know. We got shouted at all the time at cadets.
Oh, you've not been shouted at until I think phase 1. Oh my God, I think I tried to run away from the camp one day because I couldn't, like, they scream and swear in your face and call you all sorts of names, but they're trying to break your personality, break you down to then build you back up into the soldier that they want you to be.
Yeah.
So obviously being 16, snotty-nosed brat, they definitely broke me down in phase 1. And then phase 2 training is where you can, looking back now, I can see how I was built up into being that kind of soldier that they need. So,
like, coming out of the army, a lot of people find it very difficult to sort of move into civilian life and, like, not having the structure around you. How was that transition when you come out? Was you all right? Did you just fit straight in, or was it tough?
I mean, it was all right. Like I felt fine. Do you know what I'd say the most difficult thing was obviously being in the army and being in army accommodation and army houses and stuff like that. They pretty much do everything for you. Like, your house payments come out of your wage before you get it. So moving, like, I bought a house on coming out of the army. Christ, was that stressful. Like, I didn't have a clue. I didn't have a clue what to do. But I had my partner, who obviously was a massive help, because I just wouldn't have had an idea at all on how to do normal things.
Like paying bills and stuff like that.
Like, literally just simple things like that.
I'll be honest with you, I still don't know, because that's what I've got a wife for.
My partner does most of it, because I just put the money in a joint account and he sorts the rest out.
That's fair enough, because honestly, Yeah, I'm pretty clueless when it comes to it. I don't even know who our water provider is, our gas or electric or anything. Just goes straight over my head. I only know we've got BT internet. That's about it. So now you've come out of the army. You're a truck driver now, or was that the logical step, or was you just kicking about for a bit, thinking, what do I do?
No, so because I was getting medically discharged, you get so much money to get put towards like any course that you want to do on coming out of the army. So you get to do these courses before you actually leave. I couldn't really find a course that I wanted to do, but I was going to spend the money anyway, not my money. So I think I ended up doing a warehousing and distribution course, knowing that I wasn't going to want to do that anyway. I just thought, the money's there, I'll do that course.
I didn't even know you need a course for that, honestly.
Well, yeah, it's all the health and safety stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose.
But yeah, I'd done that, and part of that course was where I work now, CS Ellis. Part of that course was going from our army camp to their warehouse and having like a look around the warehouse and see how things work, and having to speak to like the health and safety managers and stuff like that. But then my partner worked for that company as well, and it was him that said, like, because obviously I know I have my truck license in the army, but we don't actually get the experience of driving Arctic lorries. Like I didn't know how to drive Arctic lorries because I passed my licenses at 17 and I didn't leave the army till, I can't even remember, 2017. So I hadn't driven for years. But yeah, it was him that said, why don't I have a word with our boss and see if we can get you in as a driver? And I thought there's absolutely not a chance in hell because I've not got any experience. They're not going to let me. So he had a word with the boss. He said, yeah, get her in for an interview. And that was that. They let me start off as what you call a shunter in the yard.
Yeah.
So I was in the yard for 7 months, just like gaining experience before I was let out loose on the road.
See, it's funny. My dad was a lorry driver. Then he was a lorry driving instructor, and then the recession hit, and he went and got a job as a shunter, and just parking trailers all day, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
But so what type of driving do you do? Do you do long distance or just short haul?
So I don't really do long distance. Like we can do anywhere in the UK. Like we can go Kent or Scotland, like up and down the UK. So yeah, anywhere really. Every day is different because we haul absolutely everything. So every day is different, which is what I like.
Because that's my next question. Do you enjoy the job?
I do, yeah. I love the job. I think I like being on my own. Nobody's bothering me, and it's getting to see all the different parts of the country. Like it's just different every day. You're meeting different people. But yeah, I do. I really love it.
See, I've always fancied doing lorry driving, but my problem is I've got like this affliction where I just will fall asleep. Honestly, anywhere I drive, I just start falling asleep, and it's uncontrollable. Like the other day, I was driving along. I had all the windows down. I had like the music up, and I'm slapping myself. I'm not even at the end of the road. No,
I don't think that's a safe idea, then, is it?
No. So, but that's what happens. Like I just fall asleep all the time. So that's what stopped me from like maybe having a go at it. But I'm fascinated by it, and the one thing that fascinates me the most, well, not the most, one thing that I always feel so strange is, and I brought this subject up with Christina Trucker Babe, but she doesn't really encounter this much. Laybys, weirdest places on earth, correct?
Yeah.
Like I bet like you sort of pull in there and you're not trying to get out.
Yeah, I mean, Don't get me wrong, I've had to get out if I've needed a wee. I've gone and lay by for wees. But yeah,
they're strange places.
If I don't need to get out, I won't get out because you get some strange drivers in there.
Yeah, where I used to live, in a place called Caterham, and you've got the Caterham bypass, A23, I think it is. Listen, I should know. I lived there my whole life, but there's a specific toilet down there, and there's a lay-by, like a truck stop lay-by with toilets down there, and after dark, you don't stop in there, like you just don't stop in there because it gets weird.
And I can imagine.
Yeah, and like you drive past at night and you see like there's 30 cars and like 15 dudes standing outside the toilet. And you're like, wait, what?
Right, it's one of those.
Yeah, and I was just like, what is going on here? So yeah, I couldn't like I wouldn't like my wife stopping there at a certain time at all. No. Does your partner have like concerns about you out on the road, or does he know you can handle yourself?
No, because he knows I can handle myself. But no, because I'm just a day driver. I rarely ever do nights out unless I'm needed to. So yeah, I'm only out during the day.
So this leads us on to another thing, the thing that you're probably most famous for online is your OnlyFans or True Fans. I'm not sure what one you do. I know. Oh dear. So I listen. I've never looked. I'm a married man. I'm not allowed to look. Okay. So just put that out there. I got a load of grief last time. But tell me about that. Tell me about the mind, because I'm not interested in all the silliness around it, but it's more about the mindset, the because it's quite a powerful thing, isn't it? Like you're putting yourself out there, and how do you go from just being you and then going, right, I'm going to do that.
I'll tell you exactly why. Well, basically, obviously, I was growing my Instagram, and I got to meet a lot of other trucker girls around the world. One of them being Big Rig Barbie from Texas. So I spoke to her a lot, and she'd messaged me a few times, inviting me to this True Fans, and I'd never heard of it at this point. I hadn't had a clue what it was. So I asked her. I think the first time she asked me, actually, I didn't even ask her what it was about. I just said, no, thanks, not interested. And then I think she invited me another couple of times, and I think the third time I was like, right, what's it all about? Because you keep inviting me, I might as well hear you out. What is it? She told me what it was about, and I then said again, nah, it's not for me. Like I'm not doing that. And it was as soon as she mentioned how much she was making from it. I think she told me she made $30,000 in 3 months, and that's where my brain just went, wow.
Because you're not talking. That's a lot of money you're talking there.
It is. But no, I still put it off after that. And then one day, it was my partner brought it up. He just said, would you not fancy doing like that True Fans? Because he knew I'd been invited to it before. And he said, he just said, you've got nothing to lose for trying. If you're trying, it doesn't work out, that's fine. But he asked me how I felt about it. And to be honest, I had been thinking about it, but I didn't really want to mention it to him because I didn't think he'd be happy. So when he mentioned it, it was like, oh, yeah, I'll give it a go. And here I am.
So that is powerful, because I went straight into my wife and was like, babe, get the camera out. OnlyFans time. She's like, no. I'm too fat. I'm not doing it. I'm like, babe, come on. But like the money is like, if it was for maybe a couple of £100, maybe £1,000 or £2,000, it's the juice ain't worth the squeeze, is it? As they say.
Yeah, no. To be honest, I didn't think I had no idea the amount you'd earn from doing it, and I don't do a lot. I don't put a lot out there. I think I'm just too much of a worrier, and I overthink too much. So before I put anything out, I always say to myself, would I be happy if this got leaked? And if the answer is no, I don't put it out.
It's like talking to Christina. She only puts out like sexy pics, really, not anything too naughty. And I think if you can put out some risque photos rather than putting out porn, it's kind of the happy medium and still get paid like mad dough. It's worth doing it, in my opinion. If I could do it now as a fat man, I would be out there. No problem. But I don't think I'd earn quite the money you girls are earning. So what's the future for you and like your OnlyFans? Like, do you get very weird requests?
Oh, all the time. I think the strangest request I've had was a couple of days ago. Someone asked me, do I do crush fetish videos? Which I obviously replied, like, what the hell is a crush fetish video? Which they replied, oh, it's where you squash like insects or objects like in your toes and things. And I was just like, no. No, I don't.
Do you get many requests for feet pics?
Yes, I've got a few. I do that.
Yeah, well, why wouldn't you? It's just
I've got there's a few good paying feet lovers out there.
I know, it's so mad. One of the podcasts I listen to is a podcast called The Fighter and the Kids, and there's like a young Asian girl on there, and she does all she just started her OnlyFans, but where their podcast is massive, like 100,000 views in a day type thing, she's making mad cash, and all she puts on there is pictures of her feet, and she's making like grands and grands a day. Like, it's unbelievable.
Mental.
Listen, we're gonna get a little bit explicit now, so turn off if you don't want to hear it. She was telling like the listeners about rape my dick.
Oh, okay.
Have you had that?
Yeah.
Jesus, what is wrong with people? What, like, have you lost faith in humanity, like, a little bit? Like,
it's made me realize that there's a lot of strangeness in the world.
That's what I'm saying.
I had no idea the stuff that people were actually into, and that a lot of people are actually into the same kind of thing. And I'm like,
and they pay money for that as well, don't they? It's
yeah,
like 50 quid for that.
Yeah, some people pay more.
Right. So for like private things like that or foot shots, what's the most you've ever been paid?
So I got £200 off one guy just for like a 2-minute long video of my feet. I didn't even have to talk in it. It was just video on my feet. Yeah. Great.
It's actually a no-brainer. Do you feel empowered by it? Like, your self-esteem, do you feel empowered by it? Is there a downside for you?
No, I don't feel empowered by it. I just think I'm making money at the end of the day. It's all going to go towards mine and my family's future. Like, it doesn't bother me. But no, I don't. There's no downfalls. I mean, people can put pressure on you, but that's where you've just got to be able to put your foot down and tell people no if you're not happy doing things. But that's what I always find that difficult. So I tend to just ignore a lot of people, and then I just come across ignorant.
One of the things I would worry about as a dad of a daughter is when my sister was younger, she had a friend, and her friend, and it's not a friend, it is a legit a friend, who was a stripper. And she got into it young. She lived a great life. And she made loads of money. She owned a couple of properties worth a lot of dough. And she's being flown out on jets and all this sort of stuff all around the world, and she's done well. But at my sister's wedding, she turned up, and like, I always mock her. I always have. I'm 6 years older than them lot as well, so I feel like it's my duty to make a mockery of them. And anyway, I was talking to her, and I felt like she had sold her soul a bit. Do you know what I mean? I felt like she had a sadness, and it was from, she just looked at the world differently with like a bit of a pessimistic, unloved way. Do you ever worry about that? Do you ever do you have good grounding to pull yourself away from that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, again, like, because I don't do a lot on there. I don't know. I don't think I'd get to that stage where it would make me feel like that. I don't think.
No, that's my only worry about like that sort of thing for girls is I think probably where you've got like quite a good family structure, you've got your fella, you've got you got your kids and that. I suppose you're doing it from a different perspective. But yeah, that's the one thing that when I talk to OnlyFans women and stuff like that, I always worry, like, from like a, not I'm worried about you type thing, but I worry like, are they selling their soul?
I think it's different for people that haven't got kids, and then like it's mostly them kind of women that literally do everything on their sex tapes and like all that sort of thing. And then when it does come to them having children, I think when them children grow up, like, this is just my mind thought and how you think like, oh my God, what if when my kids grow up and their friends or even they see what I've done, and then you start, I don't know, regretting what you've done in the past. Whereas me, because I've started it while having a child and a family, I know I'm not going to put anything out there that I would regret.
Yeah, no, I hear that, because actually it's kind of like modern day page 3 if you do it right, isn't it? There's not a dark, horrible thing. It's, you know, something that young pretty women do, feel great for the couple of years they do it, and then just go on to live a happy life. A lot of page 3 models did. I know you got the odd ones or two that didn't, you know, but would you equate it to like this page 3 type stuff?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much.
Yeah.
Might go a little bit further, but not by much. But yeah, I just see it as like, I'm making enough money now. Like, we're planning like things for the future. Like, I've got goals in my head, and those goals are to be able to retire early, enjoy our life, like mortgage free.
Yes.
And then build up a business, like invest the money that I do make, so that I've got things to pass down to like my little boy or any other children that I may have in the future.
It's such a driving force when you become a parent, and it's only something I took a while to bond and sort of take the responsibility serious as a dad. And it's only once you start taking life a bit more seriously, and there's sort of like, you find yourself making sacrifices, doing things that you and stepping outside your comfort zone to make sure your house and your people in your house are provided for, and you leave a future. And like, I don't want the same struggle I had for my little girl. I don't want that. I want her to, if she wants to go, perfect example. At Christmas, we went to the harbour down the road, and it's all Christmas lights on the boats and stuff. And they're selling like sparkly LED wand things. She's like, oh, well, she didn't say, can I have one? But she was pointing, she had stars in her eyes and stuff. And it was a £5. And I remember as a kid, that wouldn't have been allowed. But I felt so proud. It's like, it's only a £5, we'll get it. But like, when I was a kid, my mum and dad wouldn't have been able to spend like the equivalent of a £5 on a cheap bit of tat from China. But and there's such a small little dumb example, but those little things, those little nice things that you can provide for your family, makes like going and staying away for a week to work for a week, doing podcasts till bloody 2 o'clock in the morning last night, making these little sacrifices, and pushing yourself further than you ever thought you would, is something definitely correlates with what you're doing. It's do you feel like you inspire women by doing what you do, or do you just not care about all that sort of stuff?
I wouldn't say I inspire women. I don't know. Like, honestly, I have no idea. I don't think I inspire women with like the OnlyFans and True Fans, but with the trucking, I think I inspire women. If you get what I mean.
What do you get grief for your Instagram and your OnlyFans from other women, geezers, whatever? Do you get a lot of grief?
No, never had any grief from no one.
See, that's brilliant. I think it shows a new age that we live in, you know, where
I think it became such a big thing, and so many people are on it, and pretty much everyone knows about it. It's not something that like comes of a shock to anyone. No. I think the biggest shock to people is like when they find out I am doing it, they're like, oh God, I didn't think you were that kind of person to be on there. But then when I explain that I don't, because people automatically assume that you're doing things like sex tapes and all that sort of jazz.
Yeah.
So when I explain like I'm not doing all that, they're like, oh, it sounds good actually. And then they ask how much you're making. You tell them how much you're making, and they're like, oh, I want to do it. But yeah.
No, do you know what? Your story is it's a good one. It's just, you just seem positive. You seem like you've got a positive, stable vibe around you. You don't seem like you don't seem unbalanced in any way at all.
No, I'm happy. I'm always positive. I know what I want for my future, and I'm actually really proud of myself of how far I've actually came in life. Because, like, again, like you, when we were kids, like I didn't have wealthy parents. Like, we had a brilliant childhood, but we, you know, they gave us everything that they could.
Yeah.
And like we had a loving, caring family, but it's like where I am now, I've done that all by myself, and I've not needed any help from no one. So I'm actually really proud of where I am.
Is it like I say, probably it's something that come into my head. Money doesn't make you happy, but having money to give yourself options makes you happy. It's just like those little options in life. You know, shall we book holiday? Brilliant. Whereas usually you've got to save up for the holiday, like pay it off a little bit every month and stuff like that. Buy a new sofa. Like I'm looking at new sofas at the moment. You know, I can buy a new sofa. It's not a problem. And stuff like that is really important. And I suppose it's having those options and those little burdens not on you to make life a bit easier. And if you can do that by, you know, some glamour shots, because I think that's probably what you do, isn't it? Glamour, a bit like Nuts and FHM and all that sort of stuff back in the day. I don't know if you remember that. I don't know if you're old enough to remember FHM.
I think I've heard of it, but I'm not.
It was a magazine. That's how old I am. I used to read magazines. Come on. So what's the future hold for you now? Are you going to parlay your money into property development, or don't know?
That's exactly it.
Really?
It is, yeah. So it's nice because before making all this money, like I used to spend like I had a lot of money, and I never did. And now that I've got all this money, I don't want to spend anything. I'm saving it all. Don't even want to spend any of it. So we've just started our own business. We've started a partnership with some friends of ours, and that's literally in property development, buying them under market value, doing them up, and then re-renting them. Cool. So that's the plans for the future. Obviously, we're leaving the men to do all that. Sure. We're just there to add the money to the bucket. But yeah, that's what we've started on.
So the future's bright for you. Listen, I've really enjoyed this conversation. It's a lot more balanced and positive than I thought it would be. if I'm honest.
Yeah.
I worry about these interviews because, you know, my podcast is more about the positive side of everything and the mentality, the winning mentality. And I think you've got that in abundance. I think you've got like this intrepid sort of spirit that comes through really, really, really well. So listen, where can people find you?
So the main thing that I use is Instagram, and on my Instagram bio, I've got a link on there where you can find all my other channels on there if you wish. But yeah, it's mainly Instagram. TikTok, I've just started as well. Get yourself on there.
Oh God.
Yeah, I'm one of those starting on that as well, getting down with the kids.
Why not? Why not? Why not? It's the next big thing, isn't it? TikTok.
Yeah, it's massive.
Massive. I should really get on there. But I feel like such a fraud being on there. I'm 38 years old, and then you go on there, and it's just basically really young girls doing dances, and I'm like, oh, I can't be looking at this. Like,
there's so much more on there. There's pensioners on there getting famous. In no time, you'll be learning these little dances and be on TikTok.
No, I will not. I refuse. Listen, thank you very much. I will put all the links in the bio. Yeah. Fat Sound Podcast. We're out.
Well, thanks for having me. It's been good. Been nice chatting.
Nice one. Thank you very much.